It's going to literally be a 5-minute project, and it is a little squash book like this. And I make these all the time. You can make them big, you can make them small. For some reason, I always make them with 6x6-inch pieces of paper, but any square pieces of paper will work. So you could go 2x2, then you'd have a little teeny tiny book. You could go 8x8, 10x10, 12x12. It's really nice for using up 12x12 pieces of scrapbook paper. For some reason, I always do 6x6. One of the reasons I do 6x6 is that I do a lot of jelly prints on 8.5x11, and so I can on 8.5x11 paper with an 8x10 jelly print, so I can kind of cut out the center section of my jelly print. So that, I think, in addition to having lots of 6x6 scrapbook paper, is often why I use 6x6 papers to create this book structure. And you wind up getting a little 3x3-inch book, which just feels really nice in the hand. But to create this project, you're going to want an odd number of square pieces of paper that are nice to fold. So paste papers, eco prints, scrapbook paper, jelly prints, anything that's easy to fold. Anything too thick is going to be a little tricky. Today, I'm going to be using some handmade paper from my store. The link to that is down below, because I often get asked, how can I use the handmade paper that I have? So I'm going to show you. So without further ado, let's get down to my desk and get started. Give me 1 second to get organized. Okay. And some of you ask, why do I always have to have the little box in the corner? It's otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear me because the microphone wouldn't work. Okay, here's a close-up of the little squash book. Looks like this. The nice thing about it is once you've created the structure, you can decorate the insides, which I really, really like. So you have squares and triangles to work with within the space. So I'm going to show you the basic book structure first, and then afterwards I'm going to show you a bunch of samples of different books that I have created with different types of content, because I know that that's something that you are always asking me about. So first of all, let's start out with our square pieces of paper. As I mentioned, I'm using 6x6. If it can be double-sided, that would be great. If not, it can be white on one side and patterned on another, but I think you'll get the best results if it's double-sided. I'm going to use 5 pieces of paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need a minimum of 3. You could just do 1 and it would just look like this. And quite honestly, 1 would be cute as a little favor on a place setting, actually. But I'm going to do 5 joined together so that you get a good idea of how it works. But I could use 3, I could use 7, I could use 9, up to as many as I want to. This is, like I say, handmade paper. It folds nicely. If I had to guess the weight, it's probably between 60 and 80 pounds, maybe 70-pound paper. So it would be the same sort of weight as a drawing paper, for example. In addition, I'm going to use some glue. I usually use PVA, but I also really like this glue here. This is a Tombow glue. It's got 2 tips, a little narrow, sort of small tip like this, and then a larger tip like that. So this is very similar to PVA, so I'm going to be using this today, and you can just find this in a regular old craft store, or you can order it online as well. We don't have a link, but it's available in many, many different places. Hopefully you can see that okay. But any kind of white glue, and if your paper is thin enough, you can also use a glue stick as well. And I really like the Yoo-hoo glue sticks. Don't think I have one. Oh yes, I do. You could also use a glue stick if you felt like it was strong enough for the paper you were using. I will not be putting a cover on my book, but I will show you some examples of where I have put covers on books, and I'll be using a piece of ribbon to close it. So I'll be searching through this jar of ribbon to find a nice closure. It's really all you need. So let's start out first by me showing you the folds on a white piece of paper. What you're going to do is take your square piece of paper, like this, and you're going to fold it in half. Use a bone folder to score it. Open it back up. And twist it 90 degrees and do the same thing again. Fold in half. So now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over and fold once diagonally, like tip to tip, just like that. So you've made a triangle and you're going to open it up. And that's all you're going to do to create each of our little pieces for our book. So then you're going to flip it back over. You're going to bring these 2 diagonal folds to the middle, like that. Bring the 2 diagonal folds, and these are mountain peak folds right now. You're going to bring it to the middle and close it up to create, it almost looks like a little flower. We're going to create a whole bunch of these, and then I'll show you how to put them together to create your cute little squash book. Some people also call it a dragon book, but I call it a squash book. And the reason it's a squash book is because you squash it closed. Right, let's get on to our handmade paper. These are all 6 by 6 inches, as I mentioned before. I'm going to fold in half. And if you have some 6 by 6 paper in front of you, by all means, just fold along with me. So edge to edge in half on one side, twist 90 degrees, fold in half again. So I've folded it into 4. If you wanted to work with a thick paper, you really wanted to have a thick paper, you could score the lines first if you wanted to. And because we're folding in both directions, we're not going to worry about the paper grain. So I've done my cross in the center. I'm going to flip it over. So I've got these peaks here. I'm going to flip it over and do diagonal fold, just one. Doesn't matter which one you do, just do one. Press with a bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, you could always use a old gift card. Now, flip it back over to where we began. I'm going to use my sort of finger and thumb to bring those 2 diagonal folds to the center and close my little book. Give it another little bone fold. So there's one little petal. See, it looks like a petal or a little boat. I'm going to repeat that 4 more times with my pieces of paper. So if you want to grab a piece and fold along with me, go right ahead. You do really want to make sure that you get your edges like even, and when you're cutting, you want to make them even as possible, like make them nice and square. So now I've done my quadrants like that, got my 4 areas, flip it over, fold corner that way, or I could do it that way, doesn't matter. Fold right along the center. Flip it back over. Bring my 2 diagonal folds to the middle and close it up. And then press down the sides with your bone folder. There's number 2. What you're going to notice is that the stripe is on this side and then the pale pink is on the other. So why don't I do the reverse this time? Which way around did I do it? I can't actually remember. I think I did it. Did I do it this way? Yes, so let's do it this way. Let's have the pale pink on the front. When I do the regular folds, edge to edge, like that. Let's flip it over. Do corner to corner just once, not twice. Fold. Let's flip it over. Oops. Flip it over and bring those 2 diagonal folds to the center. Like that. So now, oh, it's the same way. All right, so this is good. So look, this is the same way. I've got the stripe on the outside. So how can I fix that? Well, I can fix it by going back and doing my folds in the opposite directions. So let's do them in the opposite directions. So if that happens to you and you find that you've got a white on the outside, you can flip it around. So I just flipped my folds around, and now the stripe is in the middle. Okay, let's do the blue. I've got 2 more. I'm alternating pink, blue, pink, blue. Hopefully by now you have it, got it figured out. So in half, across, half this way. Yeah, there's my crisscross. Flip it over, do the diagonal. So if you are watching live, I would love you to pop in the chat what kind of papers you think you'll use to create your book. Flip it over. I'm going to bring my 2 diagonals to the middle and bring these 2 side pieces to the center. Just try to make sure that it's like a nice even square if you can. Okay, last one. Now let's make sure we get this the right way round. I want this on, I want the striped on the inside. So I think I have to do it. Well, let's try it this way. No, I think I do it this way. We'll see, right? We'll see if I get it right. But it really doesn't matter because you can just switch the folds around. Not a big deal. Whatever we get, we'll be happy with, right? It's like kids. Do we really care about the sex of our baby? Probably not. Flip it over. Boy, girl, doesn't matter. Flip it over, and I'm going to bring these 2 peak diagonal folds to the middle. We have our 5th and final one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might be wondering, well, why do we do an odd number? That's because now we're going to attach them together. And the way we do that is we have 1 facing upwards. So it's in the palm of my hand. The sort of, the little tip here is in palm of my hand facing upwards. And this one here, we're going to flip it over and we're going to nestle it inside each other. So this panel here nestles into this panel here. So the far right square panel faces up, and then the left panel of this one faces down, and they're going to nest inside each other. One facing up, one facing down. And this is where the glue comes in handy. So let's open this up, put some glue in. Just going to put a little bit of white glue in there. Could use double stick tape as well if you wanted to. So pink facing up. So the first one is always facing upwards, okay? And then second one always faces down. Let's just open that up and press it. Like that. So facing up, facing down. Let's just squish that together. Now we need to have another facing up one, so I'll have a pink one. And we're going to slide this panel here into the left. So the right panel of the blue one slides on top of the left panel of the pink one, like that. So this is, here's the tip. This one here, we have the other way around, like that. So let's put some glue on the pink one. So we're just putting the glue inside the square, nowhere else, not on the triangles or anything. We're just doing it on the square. Oops. Let's slide these 2 together. And if I were you, I would just take some copier paper and practice this, sort of the folds and putting them together. So one facing up, one facing down, one facing up. Let's close this up and give it a squish. So there's 3 panels. We could stop right here, but why would we want to? Let's add on the 4th panel, which is the blue one, which will face downwards. So let's put some glue on here. And then you want the final and fifth panel to face upwards. So that's why we have an odd number. Oops. So let's fold all this up. Yeah. Give it a good press. These folds are very well behaved, you'll find. They'll do what you want them to do. As long as your paper is not super, super thick. How cute is that? And then here's the final one, because this one faces up. This one, the fourth panel faces down. So we want our final panel to face upwards so that it closes properly. Let us put some glue on here. I'm not putting a ton of glue. If I put tons on, it would like seep out everywhere. It'd be a hot mess, which we don't want. Put that panel in there, like that. Give it a smush with the bone folder. So let's just pull this out so you can see we have panel number 1, the pink one faces up. Panel 2 faces down. Panel 3 is facing up. Panel 4 faces down, and panel 5 faces up. Now I'm just going to bring it all together and squash it closed. So just do one panel at a time. Just squash it closed. Bring in those diagonal folds in so that it closes in on itself like that. Let's do one final press with a bone folder. Because I'm using wet glue, I would probably just leave it under a book or something for an hour or so to let it dry. If I was using double stick tape, we wouldn't have to worry about it. So there's your little squash book. Now I mentioned that you may want to put a cover on this. So this is a soft cover right now. You could add a piece of, what I really like to do is get these offcuts of mat board. Get these from Michael's, or from, if there's an AC Moore open, or just a frame shop. They often have mat board offcuts. Some places sell them, some give them to you for free, but they're a really good thing to use as a book cover. Well, a mini book cover, not for a regular book cover, but a mini book cover. So you could make this piece of mat board, maybe, you know, 1/8 of an inch bigger all the way around as a cover, one on the front, one on the back, and then just stick it on with glue. And you've got a hard cover. I'll show you one of those in a minute. But let's, I'm not going to put a hard cover on this. I'm just going to put a ribbon to keep it closed. So let's find a cute little pale blue ribbon here from the stash. That doesn't look, well, that's kind of cute. I like that. Oh, no. I have some seam binding. I really like this seam binding. Yeah, do we like that with that? Not really. I think we're going to go with this little bit of, this is a 1/4 inch gross grain ribbon. We'll use that. Let me know in the chat if you too have a ribbon problem. Let's just eyeball how much we need by just wrapping it around a couple times. If you do have a ribbon problem, let me know where you buy your ribbon. I'm always looking out for new sources of ribbon, whether that be Etsy or wherever. So here's my little book. I'm going to put a piece of ribbon on the back. So actually I'm going to make this the front because it has the stripe and this the back. So I'm just going to put a piece of ribbon across the back with some glue. Just eyeball the center. Put this piece of ribbon across the back. So you know what I would probably do here is maybe put another piece of paper over the top. Let me show you an example of where I did that. Did I do that here? No. I don't think I have an example. But what I would probably do is put another piece of paper over that to maybe cover up that piece of ribbon. Or you could just leave it like that. You want to allow it to dry, obviously, before you start manipulating the ribbon. But just to show you, you would just tie the little book closed like this. And next, in a couple minutes, I'm going to show you some examples. I'm not going to pull it too tight because I might pull off my glue. But there you have, you can trim up the bows if you like. This. Nice. Wouldn't that make a really cute favor to go at like a wedding, baby shower, Easter? I think that'd be really cute. Birthday party, any kind of little event. So let me show you some examples of other books that I've made using this book structure, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Here is the one I showed you originally. I'm throwing the glue everywhere. This is the one I showed you at the beginning. This right here is 3 panels, and this is a printmaking paper, I think, that I dyed with some natural dyes. You can see there's like 3 different color yellows. I believe it was Queen Anne's lace. I did some hand dyeing of paper, and I had these squares left. And then once I'd made the squash books, this is how I decorated the inside. I did some triangles of old ledger paper, and then I put in the 4 square spaces, I put eco prints that I had left over. Now these were just offcuts of eco prints, and I made them about, I gave myself a 1/4 inch all the way around. So just so that they kind of were framed by the dyed paper on the outside. So that is one. And I haven't even finished this one yet. I'm probably going to add maybe an eco print to the front or something. This is not finished, but it's a work in progress. And here is another one, which is almost finished, maybe not quite. This is one I did for the Artsy Marathon over the New Year with Kiala Givehand. I did this for her group, and it's the same thing. It's the hand-dyed paper. I think it's a bit smaller, actually. It's tiny. Yeah, it's a tiny bit smaller. I think my original panels are maybe 4 inches. Not quite sure, 5 inches. Ledger paper again, eco prints, and then in the middle I did some words. So these are little word stickers, like little Scrabble tiles. So these were words I kind of wanted to invite in for 2023. So that kind of squishes close. So this is I usually have this on a shelf above my desk at home to remind me of the things that I wanted to invite into my life in 2023. Here's another example I think you might like. This one is a whole bunch of gelli prints that I put together. The back is white, so I had to make sure I got my folds the right way around. And I actually have this lengthways. It's going to go off the camera. I actually hang this up, so it's long and skinny, and I have this hanging on the wall as a piece of artwork. And the way I do that is by, come on, let's squish this up. This is 5 panels again, and I use the matte board as a front and back cover, and also put a little jelly print on. And what I do is I put a clip here, a little clip here, and then hang it on the wall on a picture hook. I think I actually do it the other way around. Yeah, this way around. I can't remember. But it's a really nice way to display all your prints. So this is, if you're in the, actually no, I do it this way around. If you're in the book club, we did jelly printing last week. So don't forget to check out that recording. But that, like I say, that hangs this way around so that the squares kind of tumble downwards. So it's a really nice way to display prints that you have. Let me show you another example. Again, this is another unfinished one, but if you do paste papers as well, it's a nice way to use up paste papers. The back is white, here's the front, and then I just glued paste paper, just paper on the front and back because they were white originally. But I just did 3 paste paper offcuts. And this would be a really nice way to, if you're trying to catalog different tools or patterns. So on the back, I could write, use this tool, use this tool, use this method, and have it as a way of cataloging your printmaking methods if you want to replicate them. Like, for example, this I know was a comb and the lid of a detergent bottle. So if I was using this to catalog it, I would put that on the back as a nice little reference. So that is another option. And then last but absolutely not least, this is one that I made a while ago. This is, this holds photographs. So I decorated the front and the back with some, hopefully you can see that. There's the back, just some paper and words. I put a ribbon that I can just wrap around like this, around a button, like that to keep it, to keep it closed. Took you off camera there. But then on the inside, instead of words or prints, I put photographs. So here we have my daughter, and I'm not going to, you can't even look at this. I look extremely young. I'm going to cover myself up by my husband. I have my parents-in-law right here, and then we did a day trip to the beach. And it was very rainy and dull, but I documented it in this cute little book. And you can see that I actually just split the photographs diagonally across the middle and put them in, and they still look kind of cool. You can see, I don't know if you can see my daughter there, then you can see the river. So even though the images are split in half, your eye still kind of sees them as one image. Same here, there's the castle. There's a cute little cottage where we had afternoon tea. And then here's our cream tea that we had inside this cute little cottage. So, oh, look at that picture. So that is another way. So when I was talking about doing it as a favor for a shower or for a birthday or wedding, I can see including really nice photographs, or even quotes would be really nice to include, or even leaving it blank so people could write in their own thoughts to keep themselves or to give to others. So those, my friend, you can see I make a lot of these squash books because I love them. So here is my little well, a couple of them, a few of them. I've got absolutely tons because I make them all the time. This one hasn't dried yet, but this is how today's will look. It's dried, and what am I going to put inside? I'm not sure yet, but whatever it is, it'll be awfully cute. And I love that it uses up my handmade paper, which, as you know, I have quite a lot of. So if you're interested in that, please follow the link below. We have some all sorts of different types for you to choose from. Okay, my friends, I am now going to answer your questions. I'm scooting across back, and I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. And I am going to ask Amber what I can already see one question. I'm going to let Amber do the questions, so I'm not going to jump ahead and look at the questions. I'm going to ask Amber to pop the questions on the screen, and I'm happy to answer anything that you may want to know after I've had a sip of my coffee. Okay, why not for a rectangular book? The folds wouldn't work for a rectangular book. It's got to be square because we're doing it in half and then diagonally. It just, the fold, it's like an origami fold. It's just not going to work with a rectangular. You won't be able to nest, you wouldn't get perfect squares, so you won't be able to nest them together. So that's why, that's the nature of the folds. If anyone figures out how to do it with a rectangle, please let me know, but I haven't, my brain hasn't figured that out yet. Let's see, what other questions are there? Just folded but didn't see where you glued. Can I show two pieces? Of course I can. Let me just grab another piece of paper. Let me do another one very quickly. I'll flip down so that you can. And then if there is That's why we lost the audio, because I took myself out. See, the little square was gone. All right, well, you saw me moving my hands back and forth. Oh, honestly, I'm like, there's too many things to think about when we do these things. Just to reiterate for Arlene about the glue, and you probably understood what I was saying with my hands even, but this is where the glue goes on the scribbly bit facing up. Here's the facing down part. So this one faces up, this one faces down. That's where you would only put glue on one side, but these are where the two pieces face together. All right, is there anything else you want me to show on my work table before I scooch back up to looking at the camera? Repeat the folds. I can do the folds. Let me do them one more time. I just don't have a square piece of paper right now. So I'm taking an 8.5 by 11 and just making a square piece of paper. I'll do the folds one more time. So what we're doing is we're doing folding along here. We're folding along here like that. And on the opposite side, we're folding this way or that way. It doesn't matter. Okay. Here are my folds. This way. Open it up. 90 degrees. Fold this way. Open it up. Flip it over. And fold corner to corner like that. Then flip it back to the front where you did your original cross fold like that, and then bring your two pieces together like that. Okay, crosses and a diagonal. What else? Fold and squash. Anything else you need me to demonstrate on my work table? Nope, maybe I saw one about the closure on here. Folks, this is just, this is a big brad, but you could also put a button on here. And then I think I covered, if it peeked through on the other side, I covered it over with the photograph. So this is just a big brad, but you could also sew on a button. Then I put a piece of ribbon. So this piece is on top. You can kind of see this is layered. You've got the base, which is blue, and then you've got green and white on top. I just stuck a piece of ribbon under there with glue and also put on this kind of brad type button. And that's how I did that closure. And then just wrap it around there like that. There's lots of ways you can do a closure. You could do a little piece of elastic. You could do some elastic with a button and then just wrap it around. Then you can take that off and have it be removable and not have anything dangling. So yes, that's how I did that closure. Any other questions? So welcome. Oh yes, I have done a larger book. Definitely, yeah, I've done them. I've done huge books. This one is not huge, but let me tell you what size this started out as. This started, okay, well, it's not huge. It was 7. Each piece was 7. Each square was 7, but no, you can go as large as you want. So these panels can start out 12 and then come down to 6 inches. You just go as big as you want. Absolutely. I think the bigger the better, especially if you've got some artwork which you really want to show off. Go big or go home, as they say. Any other questions that I need to? Oh, good question, Susan. Susan asked, you mentioned not using matte board offcuts for regular book cover. Why not? I just find it a bit thin, Susan, for regular book covers. If I've got a small book, you can use matte board. But if matte board is all you can get for book cover, say it's a 4x6, 5x7, or even larger, you can use the matte board. Just double it up to put 2 pieces together, glue pieces, 2 pieces together. I just find the kind of matte board that I get is a bit flimsy. But that's the only reason why. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's great. And it's, you know, acid free. Just remember, it does have a grain, folks. So you can see I'm bending this like this. It's got a line on it. It does have a grain, so just keep that in mind. But it's just the thickness or lack thereof, Susan, that stops me using it. So any other questions that you would like me to answer? Scooch across. Ali, what is the easiest way to cut a perfect square? Well, I'll tell you what isn't the easiest way. I don't have my tools here. What is not easy is to use, you know, the Fiskars paper cutter, because it always seems to be wonky. So I would say to use a ruler and a metal square is a good way to do it. But if you don't have a ruler and a metal square, or a plastic square, or a quilting ruler, what you want to do is just make sure that you're getting, when you're cutting it out, you're getting right angled corners. That's the issue. It's like when we cut this down, what often happens in a Fiskars paper cutter is that we don't get a straight line. This is an 8.5 by 11. We don't get this straight line here. We get like a slightly off line, obviously not by that much. And that's how you get a wonky square. So when you're trying to cut something really square, you're just going to make sure that you're always getting right angles at all of your corners. So the best way to do that is, you can use a cutting mat, but it's not as accurate as, say, a quilting ruler or a square. But worst case, what I'll do is I'll just manually do it like I just did here. Literally just manually make the square like this, and then kind of cut downwards if for some reason I don't have my tools with me. But yeah, it's those right angles, Autumn, that are what you're trying to always aim for. So yeah, like I said, I just don't have my tools right here because we're in the other room. But you would just make sure that when you're making a cut with a ruler, that the ruler is perpendicular to the top of the piece of paper, that it's not wonky. I hope that makes sense. What other questions are there? Any others? Any others? Is there a way to make a cross-shaped structure? Cross-shaped structure. Crossed, not. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, Marsha. If you have a picture of one, I could absolutely try to figure that out, but I'm not quite sure about a cross-shaped structure. So let me know if you have a photo or something or some inspiration, and I'll be happy to take a look at it for you. Any other questions that I have not answered? I am more than happy to answer them. Where are we? Instead of paper glued in a line, I like to add a piece at 90 degrees perpendicular to the main book. Instead of paper glued in a line. Still not entirely sure. Instead of paper glued in a line, I'd like to add it 90 degrees. I'm sorry, I still don't quite get the question, Marsha. Shoot me an email afterwards, help@vintagepagedesigns.com, and if you can sketch it out on a piece of paper, how you're imagining it, then, and snap a picture with your phone, I bet I'll be able to, I bet then I'll understand what you're looking for. What do you use to glue thin papers or photos so they don't buckle? Great question, Janet. Glue stick. I would often go with that Yoo-hoo glue stick that I showed you earlier. Yeah, something drier for sure. Whoops, wrong place. Yeah, definitely something drier. So, or a double stick tape. So a 1/4 inch, like red liner tape or score tape, it's called. You could also use that as well. But I think for thin paper, this is your friend. How do I keep my pictures from buckling? Oh, you know what? I think for photos, I use double stick tape. Let me just go in and feel. I'm pretty sure, yeah. When I added photographs, I used double stick tape, which is very thin. It's the kind that when you put it down, then you peel off the backing, then put it down so it's dry, so you don't get any buckling. Great question, Terry. Anything else? What other questions are there? Can you use crochet squares? That's a great idea, Chris. I don't know. I don't crochet. Can you get crisp folds on a crochet square? I don't know the answer to that question, but you tell me. If anyone out here there crochets and you want to try it, please let me know. But afraid that's not my wheelhouse. Paper's my thing, not yarn. So if anyone knows the answer to that question, let us know, or experiment and tell us. Lucy Lee says, you often mention paper grain. What do you do if your paper has a directional design and the folds put the design sideways? You're just going to have to experiment, Lucy. What I would do is work with some plain paper first and make a mock-up. And then, so make a mock-up, say this is panel 1, this is panel 2, panel 3, and then sort of work backwards from there with your paper panels, if that makes sense. Get an understanding of how these folds work exactly. Make some, like I say, make a mock-up, and then fold your papers accordingly, whichever directions you want them to go. And if you happen to do it the wrong way around, remember you can always refold. It's like not the end of the world. But yeah, it's almost like trial and error in some ways. You just have to get this, look at it, say, okay, I want the paper going this direction, so I need to fold it that way. So I would just experiment first with a paper that you don't care about. Anything else? Other questions? Happy to answer them. No? We're good? One more. There's one more. Always happy to answer one more. While we're waiting for that. Oh, we've had that one. It's all right. I bet she's got another one. Oh. What paper? Oh no, you did. I think I saw the question. We're going to get the question. What paper did you use in the photo book? Good question, Audrey. This was cardstock. So I started out with scrapbooking cardstock. Oh, I don't want to see. So as the back, as the base paper, I used cardstock that you would use for scrapbooking. And then I put scrapbook paper on the back to cover up the panels. I don't think I even showed you that. And then obviously photographs on the inside. So I did navy cardstock and orange cardstock. So just regular cardstock, nothing fancy. Just the kind that you would use to put in a scrapbook or make a card from or something. Super simple, and things that you have, just, you know, if you're a crafter, you've probably got some in your stash. Or even, you know, you can use construction paper, particularly if you're just making a model for now. You know, you want to, like, say, figure out the pattern, everything. You can just use some of your kids' construction paper or your grandkids. So, yeah, pretty much, unless it's super thin, nothing's off limits for these kind of books. All right, my friends, thank you for joining us. If you would like to, if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. And hit the subscribe button so that you are notified of when I put out new videos, which is pretty much every single Thursday, most Thursdays. But in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. And we will be back here very shortly. If you joined us today, thanks so much. It was great to see you. Take care, folks. I'll talk to you soon. And big thank you to Amber for fielding the questions and helping me out today. Take care, folks. Bye.